Okay, next up is the amp interface and monitors. And as you can see behind me there, I've got my Mesa Boogie Mark III head, and it's the simulclass head. I'm unsure if Trey used the 100 watt, 60 watt, I think it was just a Class A Mark III head or a simulclass. I think the jury's out on that one. I'm not sure if the Trey's Guitar Rig guy knows that information. I think it's unknown. We'd have to ask Trey that information. The Mark III, this is a lifer too, lifer piece of equipment. Kind of like Trey says in his rig rundown video. What does he say? I'm paraphrasing, but you don't really necessarily need a fancy brand or the latest brand or an expensive piece of equipment or a great piece of equipment. It's paraphrasing. I don't remember exactly what he says, but you need to be able to know your instrument really well or the piece of gear really well. You can have a low-end chorus pedal make or break the section on a song, etc., on a recording or whatever. The Mesa Boogie, this is the bells and whistles. Let's do a little zoom in here so you can really see that amp. Got my little Buddha on there. But here's my Mesa Boogie, right? It's got volume, treble, bass, middle, master, lead drive, lead master, reverb. I only use the clean channel on there. I do not use the EQ. And I rarely will use the pull lead switch. I'm not even sure if you can see it or if my camera's gonna... Let's get all the way in there, huh? Not sure if you can read that, but there's a switch called pull lead. It's cool, you can pull out a bunch of these basic controls and get additional controls on them. I, again, keep it on the clean channel with the volume at about 4 and the master volume at about 2. Again, I'm in my house and it's not to be played too loud. This thing kicks. It's like 75 watts. I've got it on the half power, which I don't think is true half power. There's full power, half power. These simulclasses are supposedly 75-15, which that does not equate to half power, right? That would be 37.5, but I keep it on the half power, and treble at about 8.5, bass at about 4-ish, middle all the way to 10. Now that middle at 10, I used to never do that kind of thing, but I experimented with it, and it became closer to the sound that I was looking for. So there you have it. There's the Mesa Boogie. Sorry if you can't see those too clearly. I'll zoom in a little more. Maybe it'll focus. It looks pretty blurry on this end. Sorry about that. Yeah, maybe I'll take a picture of it and post it. Anyway, that's the Mesa Boogie, and it goes to this Mesa cab, which is very new, but it has got the Celestion Vintage 30 2x12 speakers in that cab, and that is supposedly what Trey used to use with his Mesa Mark III head back in the day. So that is running, and that's an 8-ohm cab. So there's that for the amp setting, and most of the time when I'm making videos or teaching lessons, I don't even use the amp for a certain reason, and maybe you've heard my tone. I'm curious to see what it sounds like. I've got this one speaking microphone picking up the room noise. I've got the Telefunken M80, which I'll go over those later, picking up the cab, and then I've got the second output of that line 6. Remember, it's going to the Mesa Boogie. The other one's going to my interface, and then I'm running it through a GarageBand guitar amp preset. The vocal mic that I have is great for vocals, but it picks up a bit too much high-end and room noise, and it's not exactly what I want for my guitar sound. So when I'm doing guitar videos, I'll mute the vocal mic, and often I won't even use the amp sound unless I'm like recording for an album or a single, making actual recorded music, not just like a tutorial video. For those things, the easier things, lessons, live lessons, or tutorial videos, I'll just go straight through GarageBand and kind of preserve the life of this ancient relic, this early 1980s amp that They're hard to work on. It's hard to find techs who know how to work on them. It's not that hard, but not a lot of people maybe want to. Parts are expensive. The Volvos of the amp world, maybe some people call them that. Anyway, I love it to death. It's my dream amp and my forever amp. And if you can get one on Reverb or eBay or whatever and put the money into it to preserve it, and I recently did new capacitors and new power supply, and it's lovely. I absolutely love it. But I do try to preserve the life of it, so if I don't need to play it in lessons, I won't, or make it or use it in videos, I won't. Next up is the Focusrite Claret 8 Pre Plus, or 8 Plus Pre, I'm not sure which it is, but it is the interface I use. I've used a few Focusrites in the past, like some of the smaller ones. This one I really like. It's got a lot of inputs on it. If I ever need to record drums, I could do that for a one-off session. I plug my acoustic into it, my acoustic electric, this electric, that second input, vocal mic on the amp, and then my bass as well. So it's got 8 inputs, and it's got some nice preamp sounds built in. It has this air feature for like an extra, I'm guessing it's a high-end kind of scoop for vocals. I just keep that only on the vocal mic all the time. It's like this air feature. So yeah, really great interface. I've had that for 5 years or so, 4 or 5 years now. Never had a problem with it. Works every time. Doesn't seem to ever get too hot. And I really like it. It's great. Next up will be my 2 monitor speakers. Very basic budget speakers that I bought in 2014 or 15. They are JBL LSR 305s. I'll put another picture of those up, because they're also on my very dusty, messy desk that I did not clean before this. I've recorded 3 albums with them, two or 3 albums with them, a few singles, done all my lessons, never had a problem. They've never cut in or out. I love them. They're great. 5-inch speakers, perfect for what I need. I don't have a sub or anything like that. I can hear bass pretty well in them, and I've mixed 2 of my full-length albums on them. I've gotten a lot of miles out of these things. I, knock on wood, hope that they never quit on me, because they were really affordable and they sound great. JBL LSR 305s. I think they're called something else now. The new version of the JBL 305s. 305Ps or something like that. Anyway, those are my monitor speakers that I used. Now, all of this is made possible by my 2020 Mac Mini M1 computer. It's also very great. I've had, I don't think, any problems with it. Maybe a couple of updates with Apple, the way that world goes with system updates, and updating to a new operating system can sometimes be a little bit challenging, but I love this thing. I can have OBS streaming software, GarageBand, 2 Logic projects open. I can have Zoom open and do Sibelius, which is my my notation and arranging software, open, which is kind of a beefy program. I can be running YouTube or Google Chrome, watching high def videos while streaming high def videos. It's been a great computer, and I got that in 2020, so yeah, going on 5 years with the M1 Mac Mini, working great. And in this computer, I run 2 different DAWs. The first one that is the main one that I use. There it is. There's Logic. Okay, so we got that up and running. Right now is just my basic, while I'm giving lessons or making videos, I just use it pretty much for the vocal mic here, but I don't really use any of these other tracks. The Boogie should have been on. Oh, I'm curious how that's going to sound now, because I didn't have the Boogie amp recorded, so you were just getting room mic, which was probably a bit trebly, and then the GarageBand settings, which we'll show you in just a little bit. Here it is. Well, here it is. Let's do a little shootout with the vocal mic on and the GarageBand plug-in, guitar amp plugins on, and the Boogie off. let's see what it sounds like with that boogie enabled on. It might not be too different because I probably got the volume on it down a bit, but let's see. And I think the SM7B here, the Shure SM7B, the vocal mic is pretty hot too, so it's picking up a bunch of it. Here's with the added boogie sound on. See if you can tell a difference. All right, the next DAW that I use after Logic in my guitar lessons and in my videos is GarageBand. This is free with all your, Macs or Apple computers. Now, I use this one, and I'm going to turn off the boogie. Let's put it on standby so you can hear what I have this Trey setting, which was brought to us by somebody on Facebook, I can't remember, but they said, Max Smilin from Jedi Mind Licks, you should absolutely check out his Instagram. Great player replicating Trey licks. He turned us on to this, as far as I know, this setting, Cool Jazz Combo. You can see this over here. It's a really close to Trey Anastasio type of guitar tone that we like to use. Cool Jazz Combo in GarageBand, and then you can do some tweaking in there. Right, really compressed, sounds great with overdrives on. Right, that's with the boogie off. Right, that sounds really great to me. You can probably hear why I wouldn't use the boogie and try to preserve the life of that for maybe a live setting, because this sounds just so great in GarageBand. That's that for the DAWs that I use. I have a bunch of other software that I use, but maybe I'll do that in another video if I do videos for showing you how to transcribe. Next up, we go to page 2 here on my document. We're going to go through the bass and the acoustic instruments, and I'll just put this down. Oh, one last little thing about the electric. There's this great cable that my friend Alex made, and it has a silent jack on it. Maybe you know about that, maybe you don't. But the silent jack, volume up, no sound, no sound. It's got this little shield on it. You can hear that. Ah, it's wonderful. Highly recommend you get I think it's called a noiseless jack shield or whatever cable. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Alex. It's the best piece of equipment I've ever purchased. If you don't like, that kind of noise happening. Okay, first up on this next section is my bass. And this bass is, it says Fender Jazz Bass, but that's just a decal. It's a parts bass, and it's counterfeit. There's no serial number or anything on it. That's it. That's the story. It's a great bass. It's everything I need in a bass. I have gotten a lot of work as a bassist, playing in reggae groups and soul and R&B groups and funk groups, using this bass. And it's like Trey says, it doesn't have to be this crazy expensive or fancy piece of equipment, but if it becomes part of you and your sound, I think it needs a setup pretty desperately. I don't play it a lot anymore. But that's what matters. But get you bass aficionados are probably cringing hard right now. But yeah, it's all that I need. And fake Fender Jazz Bass, fake Trey, fake Fender Jazz Bass. I've yet to come across good bass tones in GarageBand, so if anybody knows any of those, please let me know. I would love some new bass tones in GarageBand that are worth anything. I kind of tend towards the Jocko style bass sound, probably because I'm a guitar player and he plays a lot of 16th notes, but I loved his tone and his playing. Next up is this Taylor 114E. Got this in Denver at a Guitar Center in 2015, I think it was. It's great. The electronics, the pickup, it's okay. I played quite a few acoustic gigs on it. Again, the settings that I have on the vocal mic, I don't really want to just pick up the acousticness of this guitar. So I'll plug it in so you can hear the plugins from GarageBand. So I'll use this like acoustic chorus sound. Turn it up here a little bit. Right, for kind of that 80s chorus acoustic sound. Here's just a regular acoustic sound. I like the way it sounds in the room. Again, I think that the mic will probably interfere with the actual result I would want you to hear. Great, Taylor 114E. I think that's what the model is. Yep, 114E. Next is my Martin A-style 1948, 49, 1950, not sure of the year, Martin A-style mandolin. Oh, I love this thing. I used to be in a really fun mandolin group called Get Down Harvey, and I would, play with the pickup before I had this mandolin actually, and play with, wah and delay, and we would do like kind of hip hop, funk, jam band kind of jazzy type of stuff, a la Jazz Mandolin Project for those of you who are in the know with one of Fishman's early side projects. Used to see them a bunch back in the late 90s and early 2000s. This one was previously owned by the dog, David Grisman. 2 owners back from me. I bought it out on the West Coast. I got it at a shop in Ashland, Oregon. I want to say it was like Hilltown Music Store, something like that. Hilltop, maybe. I could be botching that. But they got it from a local musician who got it from another music store in Petaluma, California called Two-Toed or Tall Toad music shop in Petaluma where the dog had dropped off this mandolin. So I keep this near and dear to my heart, just to know that David Grisman had played or maybe written some music on this instrument. It means a lot to me. Probably not sounding great with this mic again, but I love it. I love this mandolin. I really like the A style ones. They seem more guttural than like the F style. And that's the Mandy. Next up is this Conqueror banjo I got at the local music store. I am not even going to play it because I'm not really a banjo player, but I'm kind of a aspiring hobbyist banjo player. Use that occasionally, and it's fun to just kind of play and maybe record single note stuff on an album. I did learn some rolls recording for my buddy Ryan's single that we were working on this past winter. But yeah, that's the arsenal. Bass, the electric, the mando, the acoustic, and the banjo. Let's talk about these microphones. I've been referencing this SM7B quite a bit. Classic microphone for broadcasting, and it's good for vocals. I think I recorded my second album in droves entirely on this mic for all the acoustic guitars and the vocals. And yeah, it's great. it sounds great. I do some cool adjustments in the Logic to make it like I can have my air conditioner and fans running, and they won't even come through my recordings while teaching lessons or making these videos. But it's a great sounding mic. I like to have it out of shot, and SM7B, it's a industry standard. My other mic is this Telefunken. Oh my God, it's seen better days. That is from like a crappy mic stand that just tore it up. But this is an Telefunken M80, and I used this when I was in the Fish Tribute for my vocal mic. It's a great vocal mic for my range. I put it on the amp. It's not the greatest for a guitar cab, but with some high-end and mid-range or whatever scooping in Logic, I can get a pretty good tone on it in my recordings for guitar. If I had like a 57, I'd use that, or one of the Sennheisers, which I should probably just get. Maybe a trade. Maybe I'll do a trade or something, because I don't really do live performances anymore, so I don't really have a use for this as a vocal mic anymore. But my first album, which was called Tanglewood, I did every single instrument on that album with this mic, except for the drums. We used a kick drum on the kick, but then I used this for the snare and hi-hat. All my guitars, all the cabs, all my vocals, mandolin, every single thing. Kind of a one mic album. The SM7B needs something like a mic preamp. I use an Art Tube MP/C. It's got the compressor on it, and it helps boost the signal, and it's got I think a 12AX7 or something like that tube inside the preamp to give it a warmer tone, and mostly for the gain increase, because it needs a little bit of a lift going into the interface. I don't put one on the Telefunken, I just have the gain cranked high on the interface itself. So that's my mics and my preamps. Next are the strings and the picks that I currently use. My bass, I use DAWs, and I haven't changed the strings in probably over a year, which is terrible. But I think I use just basic DAWs for those. I think I use Martins for the mandolin. For the acoustic, I've been using Elixirs for a few years now. I was using the Phosphor Bronze, but I took a chance on the 80/20 Bronze this year, and I bought like a 10-pack or 10 from Guitar Center, and I'm a little disappointed. They sound fine, but compared to the Phosphor Bronze, I think those were a bit brighter than the 80/20 Bronzes, so I might go back. I know there's new companies out there, and I keep getting recommendations, and I may try a few different sets this coming year when I buy my annual, gear purchase for the year for the business. So Elixirs, yeah, those are 12 to 53 are the gauge, so I guess that's light for acoustic. And then for my electrics, I use DAWs, NYXLs. I used to use the DR tight fit, or the basic DR 10 to 46s. These are also 10 to 46s. And these are a little bit brighter. The thing was, I had a couple DRs. I used those for 10 plus years because that's what Trey used, right? And they were great. I got used to those strings very much. But I got a couple of batches that just broke on me. Like I tuned them up, and they were just, and didn't like snap, but they like unwound. So there was like a factory error. And I think it was at the time where I heard Trey switch to the NYXLs. Who knows what he uses now? Actually, I think I do know what he uses now. It's something even different. I'm not sure about that. But the NYXLs, I've gotten used to those. Maybe I'll try a different electric this coming winter when I do my annual purchase, but I'll experiment with a couple single sets first. So those are my strings. Now onto my picks. And the banjo strings, I have no idea. I use these little guys. Let's see if we can find a regular sized pick. Here's a regular sized pick. This guitar is going to FYF, if you know what that means. Here's a regular pick. Now these are 358s, and I use the mediums now. I might have used to use the heavies back in the day, but I go with the mediums now because I realized, you don't need a heavy pick to get a heavy sound. It's within the fingers. My guitar teacher in college told me that I was using those big rock picks, and we were studying jazz, and he said, Colin, you have a 5-foot canoe. That's the guitar. That's the string. You're in a 5-foot canoe, and you're using a 17-foot paddle. What you need is a 3-foot paddle. Basically a surface area thing. You don't need a massive pick to be able to play. We were working on speed technique at the time, and I haven't looked back. And I think about it, when I use other picks, I choke up on the pick quite a bit that only, this much is showing or, exposed. And that's what I use to play. I use a lot of fingernail from my finger when I play as well, to get various tones on the guitar, acoustic or electric. Not much of the pick comes through, so to me it's just less bulky, and it just feels like I get more finesse and better technique by playing these. I'll use the big ones from time to time, mostly on the acoustic guitar for strumming, especially with like a thin pick to get that more plasticky percussive sound on like a rhythm guitar track. But I can achieve that with this. These are great. Fender Medium 358s. Never looking back. All right, on to keyboards and mouse. Let's change up the camera view here to the piano cam. As you can see on the piano cam, I've got a M Audio Key Station 49 ES. And yes, Jerry is always there in our music lessons, in my guitar lessons. When we do music theory or ear training lessons, we use the piano here. F minor major 7. Not a great piano player, but essential for any music teacher or musician who wants to study ear training or theory, to learn the piano. Essential piece of equipment. Other keyboards, I use just a basic Apple Magic keyboard with the. I love that it has the numerical pad that helps a lot for transcribing when I'm doing Sibelius. And then a basic Magic mouse. I bought some of these at Target, these jelly protective wrist supports, and like a mouse pad with wrist support to help protect against carpal tunnel and fatigue while using my keyboards. And that's it for my keyboards. While we're here, the next thing on the list there is my control surface and mixer. I use and it's right above my keyboard here, I use this Icon QCon Pro G2, and I'm going to pull up Logic. So this is a song I'm working on in Logic called Winter Sun Companion. I've been working on it for, since last winter. I wrote it back in 2006, and the song here is much easier mixed with the Icon QCon Pro G2. I just call it the mixer. You got this awesome log wheel here, and you may be able to see, I didn't do a lot of automation, but as it moves, you should see as we switch between various files here in Logic, you should see some automation. And yeah, you can see those faders move automatically, motorized faders, I believe it's called. Pretty cool feature. But just being able to use an actual, mixer as opposed to, up here in Logic, and, using the mixer in Logic, you're using your eyes more. Here you can just put your finger on an actual button and close your eyes and listen to the track as it's going by and make adjustments. It gets way more complicated. Obviously, you can use this for your plugins like panning and delays or what have you. I don't go that intense with the control surface, the mixer, but I do use it a lot for mixing, and it's really, really helpful. It's a great piece of equipment. You can cycle through all your different groups or tracks, what have you. So that's it. That's my rig rundown, my studio setup, and I don't think there's anything that I forgot. I've maybe got some percussion instruments here and there. Don't want to forget about my whiteboard where I do a lot of work in my lessons with students, and I love that piece of equipment. That has been a godsend, and it brings me back to my favorite time in college, which was going up to the whiteboard to work on various music theory problems or examples or what have you. It's great. I feel like a real teacher. It's a wonderful piece of equipment. Anyway, I hope that's helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, hit me up if you need any help with anything like gear or learning how to transcribe or general guitar lessons, music theory, ear training, setting up your equipment. I've had some technology lessons with some students recently. That is something I'm kind of expanding in as a online educator, is to help people set up their own studios and get used to broadcasting, doing live streaming, or doing live lessons via Zoom. And I think I'll do another video in the future showing you the way that I transcribe music and what software applications I use. If you have any other questions, feel free to hit me up in the comments, give me a call, send me an email. Thanks for watching, and take care.